Welcome to this week's edition of the Elite Money Market Update with Patrick Marcel, who is the CEO and founder of the Elite Retirement Group. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and Patrick, what a joy to be back with you. How are you this week?
Great, having so much fun. This is like my favorite time of the week.
I know, mine too. I have such a great time with you.
It's a good time.
Well, good. Well, I know you have another very special show for our viewers at home today. And one of the things that sparked the inspiration for this show is the stat that there are currently 1 in 9 families in our country who have a child with special needs. And obviously, Patrick, that brings up so many important, unique financial planning considerations. But I want to start off and just kind of have you share a little bit more about your story. I know we have some viewers that are newer to us and to the show and to you. So can you share how you became so passionate about specifically helping families that have children with special needs?
Yeah, so I think anytime you do something, you have to look at what fuels that. What is the thing that comes in your life, changes your life forever, and you say, I'm passionate about that. It just kindles a fire in you. And it really started for us a little over 22 years ago. Our daughter Haley came into the world, and she's just an awesome person. Anybody who's ever met Haley will tell you that she is so much fun to be around. And actually, we have people that are like, she's the highlight of my day.
Oh.
Well, it wasn't always peaches and cream, and there were challenges along the way. And what we found out is very early on is that she had epilepsy, and then later on, actually just 3 years ago, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Plus, she had cognitive disabilities. So we're like, wow, that's a lot to handle. It's a lot to deal with.
For sure.
So as a parents, my wife and I, we were really looking at how do we navigate all the waters? How do we deal with the medical side of things? But then the financial side. Because the financial side is really, really super important. And if we think about the timeline, this was about the timeline where I got into the business, in the financial planning services business. And it really wasn't the catalyst for me to get in the business. But as we started going through things, we really had to kind of find out things on our own. Like, what do we do for health insurance?
Right.
At that time, Haley's medication, one of her pills was $3,500 a month.
Wow.
Now, I don't know how anybody can afford something like that.
And
That's
that was
just
before
crazy.
inflation. I mean, that's over 20 years ago we're talking.
Yep. And it's such a process to, number one, deal with the health issues. But then number two, how we're going to pay for this.
Yeah.
It could have financially ruined us very, very easily. But as a parent, you're not saying, well, I don't think I'm going to do that because, I don't have the money. You're like, what do I need to do to get this done? We fortunately were part of a really, really great support network. And my mom and dad actually did a lot of footwork too. And they found some answers for us. But, that's what we want to talk about today is where do we get these answers? What do you do? What are the resources out there? Because, these, call them children, these are children that have disabilities. They want to be just like everybody else.
Yes.
They want to live the fullest life possible.
For sure.
And they vary all across the spectrum from, can't do much for themselves, can do a lot for themselves. And we as parents need to take care of ourselves for our children.
Absolutely. Well, and I love that this is born out of a passion from firsthand experience, because I bet it's something that really a lot of folks maybe feel so alone in this journey. I mean, talk about that. How did you go from, realizing, okay, this is something we're going to need to navigate. How did you find that community to support you?
Well, actually, sometimes it felt like by mistake, quite frankly. I know my parents, they went to church with a couple that had a child that had a lot of seizures. And she actually ended up having some brain surgery to remove part of her brain to control the seizure activity. And my mom and dad were like, talked to him and got to know him. And they say, hey, our granddaughter's going through this. And in conversation, this idea of Katie Beckett came up. We didn't know anything about it. At that time, I'm working as a financial planner.
Right.
We're paying the bills the best we can. It's not easy. Well, all of a sudden, my parents say, hey, you know what? Katie Beckett is Medicare for children with disabilities, if they qualify. And it's based upon their assets and their income, not your assets and your income.
Oh, wow. How interesting.
Yeah, huge. That alone was a game changer.
Right.
So for us, we were able to take and get the care Haley needed, continue to do that, but also now we didn't have to look to figure out how we're going to come up with $5,000 a month for medication, which was crazy.
Right.
So we really were blessed. It just happened to be the right person at the right place at the right time.
For sure.
And now part of what our passion is, my wife and I, is we want to help people out there that have family members with disabilities. Just be aware of the resources that are out there. Maybe you can use some of them, maybe you can't.
Right.
But the biggest thing is don't be afraid about looking for help, because it's out there to help the folks that need it the most, and those are our children.
Absolutely. So if someone's watching at home and they're thinking, wow, I need to get in touch with this organization to help me, what would you say to them?
Well, the good news is that there's a lot of people out there that can help. You have to ask a lot of questions, and you really want to look at and focus, on working with either a social worker, if you can go and you can, for us, we got a social worker for our daughter. And I think to me, there were some things that I thought, social worker, that had this weird feel to it. But you find out pretty quickly that no, they're there to help you become aware of the different programs that are available for your family member, your daughter, our daughter in our case. What can we do to bring the most services to make her as much independently living as possible? And, really, at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want? We want what's best for our kids.
Yes.
We want to be independent. We want them to be independent. But social services, getting a caseworker really helped a ton. But then don't be afraid to get involved and ask questions of other families that are going through it.
Right.
Folks that are out there, if you're watching, you're saying like, I haven't even heard about Katie Beckett, or I'm not sure. I'm more than happy to take time and talk to folks and share our story. And, that's just one thing. We'll cover some other stuff that I thought was really tremendous as we go through that are really, really helpful for the kids. But Katie Beckett for us was an absolute game changer. And, I think if you don't know where to turn and you're not even sure where to start, call us. We always say the number. Usually we're offering a free retirement plan, right?
Right.
But if you have questions about this or you want to learn more, you can just call us at 833-856-1392. And I'm kind of the point person on this because we're dealing with it pretty regularly. But it's just something for me that's really, really important. It's something that I want to make sure that if you have questions, you're not sure, you know where to reach out, and just give us a call at 833-856-1392, and I'll be more than happy to spend some time chatting with you and sharing our story, and maybe something can help you out.
Oh, Patrick, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, again, one of the heartbeats of Patrick and the Elite Retirement Group and this entire practice is helping you be prepared for the expected and the unexpected when it comes to your finances. And certainly raising a child with special needs, that can fall into the unexpected category, but you are all about preparation and helping folks be prepared as possible. And the reality is, based on the stats, whether this affects you personally, you probably know someone who could benefit from this valuable information. So we encourage you, no matter where you are in that spectrum, that process in your own life, pick up the phone, give Patrick and his team a call, 833-856-1392 for your very own complimentary Memories and Milestones Retirement Roadmap, and or to discuss some of these resources that Patrick has shared so far today. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some very special financial products and things that are available, considerations to be able to help you if you're navigating dealing with a child with special needs. So stay with us. We'll see you right after this break.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to the Elite Money Market Update. I'm Kristen Oakley here with Patrick Marcel, CEO and founder of the Elite Retirement Group. Patrick, a really important, valuable show we're having today, talking all about how to secure your financial future and the financial future of your child should you have one with special needs. And I know that you mentioned prior to the break that there were a couple financial things in place that folks might want to be aware of to really help support them on this journey. So the first thing you mentioned to me was an ABLE account. So can you tell us a little bit more what that is and what folks need to know about it?
Absolutely. So ABLE, A-B-E-L, pretty easy. What it does is it allows you to be able to take money up to $16,000 a year and put it aside for your child or adult with disabilities. And the cool thing is it doesn't impact their benefits, so they won't lose benefits. So one of the crazy things I thought just like blows my mind is my daughter being type 1 diabetic. At one point, we were unable to get her a certain type of medication. And I said, I'll just go buy it. She needs it. If I would have done that, it would have disqualified her from her benefits potentially.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you have to be so careful with all this stuff.
Right.
But the ABLE account, putting money away, putting money aside for that loved one with disabilities, what it does is that they can use that for just better care, a better life for themselves as they grow older. And like I said, it doesn't take away from their benefits at all. Now, the downside is that when they pass away, then whatever's left in the ABLE account will go back to the state. So it does go back, which is, but you know what, that's okay. Because in my situation, I want my son and daughter, my son, you know, he wants to take care of Haley, right? And I'm like, that's great, Logan. I think that's awesome.
And he's older, right?
Yep,
He loves
he's
his little
29.
sister,
And
yep.
he does. He's a great kid, and I love him to death. But I don't want to put that burden on him. So we're putting things in place that she can live at the house and and just doing stuff so that doesn't disqualify her from her benefits, but it gives her the best quality life possible.
Right.
And I think that's really, really important. So the ABLE account is a really, really nice tool we can do that with. It's very easy to set up. I've actually had people call me and say, hey, how do I set that up? Where do I go? And I can tell you, if you go to the Fidelity's website, Fidelity is a great resource, and just type in ABLE and it'll walk you right through the process. Or maybe you say, you know what, Patrick, I'm not so sure I'm good with that. You know, I mean, I may need a little help. Hey, that's what we're here for. You know, we're here to bring a solution across the table to anybody who's looking for help. And that's what we love to do day in, day out. So you have the ABLE account, and then you can go further if you want, and sometimes it makes sense to have a special needs trust, where a special needs trust is kind of like an ABLE account, but a little more complicated, and it has cost to it.
Sure.
You have to spend some money to get it put in place, but again, puts the assets away in a place that your child can use them for quality of life down the road, doesn't disqualify them for benefits, which is really, really huge. You know, and for like our daughter who's on SSI right now, and you know, we have to watch every month. It can't go over $2,000. How much of income is she gonna make? And our daughter, Haley, works at the university. She works at the DuBois Center, and she busses tables. And she does it for 4 hours a day, every day of the week, and she loves it. She just can't wait to get back to work. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could find employees like that.
Right? Don't we all? Yes.
That would be great.
I love that joy that she has.
She does. It's truly amazing, just the work ethic, and just like she just so passionately loves to do it. But I do have a quick story to share with you I thought was really, really cute about this, is that my daughter likes to have she calls it junk, but it's her toys or her stuff. She has a little Moana doll that she got from somebody, and Moana would ride around in the cart with her because she has a diabetic bag.
Okay.
Well, she had to put it away. They couldn't live. But it was very cute. I get pictures with her going with the cart, cleaning tables off, and there's Moana on the bottom.
Her buddy, I love that.
But that's just part
awesome.
of them being part of something.
Yes.
Being, if you will, as normal as they can be and living their best life. And I think that's a thing that I've never met a parent or parents of a special needs child that are like, no, it's good enough. They're always like, I want the best for my child. And I think if we do these things that help set money aside, if we can, for our children or maybe grandchildren with special needs, we can definitely do that. But then what that does is it allows us to be able to step back and say, how do we take care of ourselves now?
Right.
Now we need to do some planning for ourselves. We need to take the opportunity to step back and say, okay, our child is taken care of with this planning over here. We're doing the best we possibly can, but now we need to split some of that off for ourselves.
Right.
And we need to make sure that we are financially solvent in retirement so we can enjoy life with our child who has disabilities. Because my daughter is probably one of the busiest people I know. She's always on the run. And fortunately, my wife is amazing, and she runs around with Haley and takes her to work, and then they go to school class for the dog, and they do all kinds of fun stuff. And it's really quite amazing. But they're always on the run, always on the run.
Well, and I know we've talked off camera as well about the importance of the self-care as the caregiver for whether that's a child, it's a sibling, it's a parent, whoever might be in your family who has disabilities. Talk to me a little bit about what you have shared with some of your clients about the importance of them not only taking care of themselves financially, but also just their own well-being in that process.
Yeah, I know that this episode's a little more off of, like, we're not talking about the hardcore topics of retirement, but there's a lot to be said for self-care. When we look at how we care for our child, if we're not taking time out to care for ourselves, it's going to impact our children.
For sure.
And I think one of the things is, at least this was me, okay? When I was thinking about respite care, which is care provided to give us a break, basically.
Right.
Now I'm like, no, we don't need a break. We got this. We don't need any help. We're good. Well, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. And actually, we get some respite when Haley's at work. So that's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah.
But right away, you think about, okay, it's adult daycare. I'm dropping her off at a facility. I don't know how I like that. But then when you go further and you're saying, well, no, it's not just that. It is sometimes a job. Sometimes maybe it is, For You was an adult daycare Haley went to, loved it. They were wonderful down there, wonderful people. ODC, Haley goes down there and she spends time at their beautiful facility. They just opened it a few years back. Beautiful, beautiful facility. And it gives her an opportunity to be with her peers, enjoy her time, but then it gives us time away to enjoy doing the things we do, recharge a bit, so that when we get back together, we're having a great time and we just really enjoy each other's company.
Well, and let's be honest, I don't know a parent on the planet who doesn't enjoy some time away from the kids. Am I right? I don't care
That's
what
true.
the situation is, everybody needs a break.
That's true, 100% true.
Right. But to that point, obviously there's just a lot more strain, I would imagine, when you're dealing with physical challenges too, with disabilities on top of that, and that can be just more challenging.
There is, and we look at Haley's daily routine. We get up in the morning and we're looking at blood sugar, we're counting carbs, we're measuring stuff, we're weighing stuff, we're making sure she gets what she needs, and then we have to make sure she has medicine for lunch and she gets her insulin at lunch, and then she has insulin at dinner and her medication at night before she goes to bed. Plus we need to make sure we're watching her skin, we're looking at all the other stuff. So there's a bunch that goes into it, and I will confess that my wife is so incredible that she does so much with Haley, takes a lot off my plate. I love doing it. There's time that we call Haley and Dad time, where we're hanging out together, which is phenomenal, and gives Mama time to get away. But, my wife does really a tremendous job with it. And at the end of the day, when we look at where we're at and we look at why we're bringing this up today, is I want to reach out to folks that maybe have a family member or maybe a son, daughter, whatever, that has disabilities, and maybe you're thinking, I can't really do anything. This is hard. We're kind of strapped. I'm like, let's talk about that. Let's have a conversation about how we at Elite Retirement Group could maybe help you get in a better position to make sure you're ready for retirement, and not just looking at only folks that have, a perfect situation or an ideal situation. And I think there's a lot of information we can share and relay to folks. And I think that's part of why I love offering up the retirement roadmap.
Yes.
And it looks different for everybody, but I'd like to take time and say, this is what I can do for you to put a plan together. And don't be shy. Just, give us a call. We understand what you're going through if you have a family member with disabilities. So, pick up the phone. Just call us at 833-856-1392 and, say, hey, saw Patrick on TV. He's talked about getting a plan together, and we want to take advantage of that. It's complimentary. There's no strings attached. Again, all you have to do is give us a call at 833-856-1392.
Patrick, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, again, there's no cost, no charge, no obligation. All you need to do is just pick up the phone. It's simply an invitation to have a conversation. You can come in and meet with Patrick and his amazing team. And whether this particular subject is of relevance to you personally or not, we all can use advice and getting a second opinion on our current financial plan. So simply pick up the phone and give us a call, 833-856-1392. You're also welcome to take out your smartphone and you can scan that QR code in the bottom right right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, and you're welcome to set up your appointment that way as well. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some more ways that you can ensure that you can secure your financial future and that of a loved one who might be dealing with a disability. Stay with us. We'll see you right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to the Elite Money Market Update. I'm Kristen Oakley here with Patrick Marcel. And Patrick, prior to the break, we were discussing about the importance of securing your financial future and that of a loved one who might have a disability. I was wondering if you'd be willing to share with our viewers at home a little bit about the plans that you've put in place for yourself and for your beautiful daughter, Haley, and what takeaways there might be for the audience from what you have done in your financial planning.
Yeah, so I'm one of those people that probably a good friend of mine who's an attorney in town, Alan, he helped me out with a lot of this. And he probably was tired of me calling him, like, should I do something now? Should I do something? So,
You are all about preparation. That's
I know,
why, right?
I know, like, now? Is it time now?
Right.
Okay, but in all seriousness, we did take and set up a situation for our daughter where right now we don't have a special needs trust. It's not the right time. But what we have is that when we pass, my wife and I, whoever passes last, there's going to be a certain amount of assets that go into her special needs trust.
Okay.
And then what we've done is we put other assets in trust so that no matter what happens on her side of things, she'll be able to stay at home. So we're very fortunate and blessed that we live, I think, in about my ideal place. We live out in the country. I love it. I enjoy it. It's beautiful. It's a dream. Okay. And Haley loves being there. She really does. So we want Haley to stay there as long as possible.
Right.
And we also set up provisions that if Logan doesn't really,
Your son.
my
right.
son Logan doesn't want to be the caregiver, which is okay. And I've told him this. And I think another big thing is have these conversations. They're not
sure.
easy, but
Right.
have the conversations. And of course, my son Logan is like, Dad, I love Haley. I'm going to take care of her. Whatever. That's great, Logan, but I don't want to force that on you. So we set up provisions that there's going to be money there for caregiver if that comes to it, if
Right.
he's not able to do it. I think what's going to happen is he will. But another thing that if your child isn't 18 yet, something to think about. This was weird for me.
Okay.
When they become 18, you're not mom and dad anymore.
Right.
You're a guardian.
Yes.
But then who is your successor guardian? We really want to think about what the successor guardianship looks like.
Yeah.
Because a thing I learned is that if you put the wrong guardian in place and you have to remove them, it's expensive.
Wow.
So be careful.
Things you don't think about necessarily.
Right, and
Right.
it takes time to do it too. So you got cost and you got time wrapped up in removing that successor guardian. So try to really make a good decision on that, but don't let that trip you up and put you in a position you're like, well, I'm just not going to make a decision then, because
Right.
then you're really not doing a service to you or your family. You want to make sure that's spelled out and clearly laid out who does what when.
Right.
In that situation. So that's just something, again, quickly to share with you, that, the guardianship, we talked about getting a caseworker, social services, and, I just don't be intimidated to ask for help.
Right.
Because they're there to help you. And actually, we got a lot of value out of Haley's social worker from the standpoint, they shared a lot of great information with us. And we went with a program called IRIS,
Okay.
which is a program that basically is more self-directed. So once Haley turned 18, they're like, how do we want to do her care? There's one that does more of a, they just do everything, they plan everything, and then there's one that do it herself. Now, imagine that, me wanted to do myself. Of course, that's what we like to do. But so there's lots of different things, but our social worker really helped us work through that and find a plan that was best for us, that was going to work for us.
Right.
And then really it's building out the plan. Everybody's situation is different. So it's really not any different than when we do a roadmap for somebody.
I was going to say, it sounds very familiar, right?
It is, yeah,
Navigating all
exactly.
the
Because,
complexities.
you know, what does the family structure look like? Who's going to care for somebody? How's that all going to work? It's all needs to be laid out, and everybody's situation is completely different. The big thing is that there's a lot of great resources out there. You don't have to go it alone. There are a lot of people that are there to help. And one quick story I'll share and before we'll probably talk about something else here quick.
Yes.
Is that I was at a bowling alley. My daughter loves to bowl, and they had Special Olympics bowling. And I overheard a mom talking to another mom about how the medical costs were just absolutely just suffocating them. It was just really tough. So me trying to be helpful, I walk up and you know, we as parents of kids with disabilities, we're pretty open to talk to each other. And I said, you know, I hope you don't mind, but I overheard you talking about your daughter and some of the medical expenses. And I said, how old is your daughter? And she said, 16. I said, you ever hear of Katie Beckett? She's like, what's that? I said, well, you should apply for Katie Beckett because if your daughter qualifies, all these medical bills will be taken care of. She's like, what?
What a gift that you gave her.
Well,
That
I know how
knowledge,
it felt
right?
when we found out,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But those are the things that's what really is important,
Yeah.
is sharing those ideas and concepts. You don't have to go it alone.
Right, for sure. When I know to that point too, we've talked a lot today about what if you have a child with special needs or a disability, but I know you've worked with folks who have adult siblings that they're
Yep.
trying to care for. So tell me a little bit about that, how some of the considerations that have come into play.
So you probably have heard me on the radio, possibly. There's a few
Yes.
stations I'm on. I had a lady call up, and her sister had special needs, and she actually knew quite a bit, which is great. So we talked a little bit about ABLE accounts. We talked about a couple other
And
things.
how old was the sister at this point?
So she was in her 30s.
Okay, yeah.
So so they were a little bit older, and she said, and her parents had passed earlier on, and
Right.
you know, kind of an unfortunate situation. And she said, you know, we talked about it, and she said, you know what, Patrick? She said, sometimes it's just nice to be able to talk to somebody that knows what I'm talking about,
Yes. Who can
and just get
relate.
another set of opinion, you know, another idea, another set of thoughts
Right.
to share with us, and that's really, really huge. So, you know, I want folks that are out there watching today and looking at everything and say, you know, these guys, we do financial planning. We help folks. But we're not there just to do one type of planning. We really like to look at the entire situation, and we feel it's really
Yes.
important that we do things for our community. We give back. That's why we do the free retirement roadmap. So just give us a call at 833-856-1392. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to come and see us, enjoy the popcorn, which is amazing. Of course, the cookies, which are fresh. We'd love to have you.
Patrick, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, thank you so much for watching. We hope you found today's show to be informational and valuable and helpful. Even if this is your first time navigating through this, it's not Patrick and his team's first time. They would love to walk you through it. Thank you so much for watching. We love you, Haley. We love you, Wisconsin. We'll see you next week.